Right, I'm back with part 5 today. It's just going to be a short one. I'm going to get straight into it. We're just going to attach the billet bed plate and put the timing chain on. Maybe even get the front seal on, but it's just going to be a quick one. I say a quick one. For me, it's probably going to be a couple of hours. For you, it's probably going to be 10-15 minutes, but we'll see how far I get into it, because I always get sidetracked by the details. So without further ado, let's get into it. What I would like to do just before we start is just show off how beautiful this piece is. I'm always a pervert for machined metal, but this was a custom piece I got done by Don Octane. It cost me £1,700 and above 1,000 horsepower. The blocks can twist, especially in a transverse setup, which is predominantly front wheel drive. The blocks can twist, and the standard one is not that strong, and neither the bolt. The bolts holding it to the unit. So I've operated all the bolts to ARP units. Yeah, so that is, isn't that just beautiful? So we're going to be shotting that on today. Yeah, £1,700, crazy, but it's needed. So let's do it. Before we put the oil pump on, what I'm going to do is just check this, because for clearances again, because what can happen, see how that's rocking side to side like that. What can happen is when you run these ARP main studs, they can hit the journal and it needs clearance in, and it's just hitting this side of the it's just hitting this side of the mains cap on this side, so I'm going to have to clearance that. So if you look, see how that's just rocking, and there is just slightly touching on this side, causing the whole thing to rock backwards and forwards. So what we're going to have to do is see if we can get the stud to go slightly further in the block, but it's screwed right in as far as I can tell. Maybe it's backed out, I don't know. So I don't want to clearance that anymore, so we might have to just take a bit off the nut, maybe. We'll see. So I managed to get a little bit more of a turn on this bolt that it was catching on here, and managed to file a bit more of a relief on this this little overhang here. So, but that doesn't seem to be the end of the issue, because if I bring you around here, you can see that I've got clearance there. So how much have we got there? Yeah, so we've got 0.38 millimeters of clearance there. So clearance is clearance. However, if I tap at this end, see it rocks. Now that tells me that when I put pressure on this end, it lifts, but that end, yeah, it's something this end of the engine, so I'll have to investigate that. You know, I said this was going to be a short one. I might have been wrong.
Point to showing you this bit, but basically what I'm doing is untorquing all the studs, seeing if I can get a few more turns on them and torquing the nuts back down on top of the studs just to see if that will clearance the billet cradle.
Now let's check this again. So that's it, a little bit of readjusting and she fits like a glove. No rocking, clearance at the end. One of the most important reasons to clearance things like that is not only will it bend this metal out of shape and then it won't do its job, but also if it's slightly touching, it can vibrate and that can give false knock, so the engine won't be running properly. It'll be thinking there's detonation going on in the cylinders, but it's actually vibration from the engine, and it'll pull timing, and you'll never get to the bottom of why that car is pulling timing unless you strip the engine down. Here is our brand new oil pump. That is what it's supposed to look like. Just need a little green seal to go in that. I've got one of them from Audi, and I know I said I was lover of engine porn, but that is how beautifully engineered that is. Listen, that's me geeking out again.
I thought this point would be an ideal segue to look at the old oil pump and actually see what the cause of the failure of the old engine was. So we'll just quickly move over to have a look at this and then we'll get you back in the room.
Let's compare the old oil pump. So this shaft goes in there and then it has the little veins off the oil pump coming off. However, I've removed those because they were knackered basically. So this cover goes over here. Does it? No, it doesn't, Jimmy. Yeah, it goes over here like that. So that's the oil pump unit there. Pull this off. And I thought this was quite interesting. When I took this off the old motor, this was completely seized. It wouldn't even turn. It was full of little tiny shavings of metal inside here. It wouldn't even turn over. So to totally deconstruct it, take the veins off, and it didn't actually seize for the reasons that you think it might seize. So this shaft actually comes out of here. What had happened is, you see here, there's a little port that goes around that. That was all full of metal shavings. Now what it actually for is, that's a little takeoff from the pump itself, and that goes through, you can see here, a little drill, a drilled channel. So it's drilled to there, usually a ball bearing in there to stop the oil coming out the other side, that's come out. Then it's drilled through to here, then it comes out of here, goes through here, comes through here, and actually oils this shaft. So you can see where the oil actually comes out. It kicks the oil back to lubricate this shaft, and this shaft was actually just clogged up with metal shavings, and that's why the oil pump seized. So the veins weren't actually as bad as you think, but that's why it didn't, you know, quite interesting. I thought that it kicks the oil back to lubricate the bearing, and it's the bearing that actually got caked and caused the whole engine to fail. But we've got a new one now anyway, so don't worry about that. I thought it was quite interesting. Okay, so as I said, I'll have to get that little green seal from the pack we got from, these are actually from Porsche, these Porsche parts. Most of these parts that are on this engine, like the little bolts and stuff, they're all Porsche part numbers. So I'm just gonna put that in there. So good. Make sure that is nice and clean. Right, I've got some brake cleaner on the cloth. I'm going to clean that off because that's where we're going next. Need to be free from grease and contaminants. And the reason why I'm sniffling is because, ironically enough, I seem to have an allergy to engine oil, so as soon as I get near it, my nose starts running. I am a sensitive soul. Now if you see there, that is the little kickback from the oil pump into the bearing. So it doesn't say in the workshop manual whether you're meant to do this, but I might just put a little covering of silicone grease on there, just because I don't want to lose any oil pressure. I'm paranoid over my oil pressure now. Now you do not need a lot for this. I don't use a lot of engine sealer on my engines. However, I do often find the amount I use is still too much. Like literally that's all I'm putting on. It's such a finely machined surface. You really don't want to be putting much on there. Pour a little bit on that bolt hole as well. Put this on there. These all go in, you can't get these wrong basically, so the shorter one goes in here, the longer one goes in the longer hole. Is that the longer one? No, that one is the longer one. And that goes in there like that. Now, if you want to be arsey about it, you could say there is oil pump alignment tool you're supposed to use, but you have to be pretty shit at lining stuff up to get it wrong. Literally the chain will look weird, it won't be on right, so you can't get that wrong. Yeah, so you can see it's pretty hard to get that wrong. What I'm going to do is just nip these up and not torque them down, because I want to see how the chain sits on it. So yeah, just going to tighten these up. I'm not going to torque them up in case I need to move them to just the oil pump. I'm sure it'll be fine. Just check we have the right chain first, because the wrong chain won't fit on there, so we know we've got the right one. Might give it a run through in the parts cleaner, yes, because I have a parts cleaner in my front room. Drop that on there. Alright, before we do this, the intermediate shaft, it makes no difference to how the engine runs, but it's just good practice. There's a little notch on here and that needs to be facing straight up. There it is. And that corresponds to this line here. There. I don't know why it's got a notch on there, but anyway. Missing a chain guide on that. Go and get that. And this is the finicky pieces that I'm talking about. Right, it won't go in that way, so it must be this way. Why won't it go on? Pull this out, get that on there. That's it. There we go. Like a glove. Whoa. That's it, like a glove there. Now, surprisingly, there's a trick to this as well. I might do the right thing here, put a thin sliver of sealant on the back of here, because if you look here, the oil pressure comes out into this little channel here, puts pressure on that, and that is what keeps your chain tensioned. Now imagine if you have a slight leak here, you're going to lose oil pressure, and I don't want to lose oil pressure. I need all of that oil pressure going to my bearings. That's the most important thing, going to the bearings, because that's where all that 1250 foot-pounds of energy is going to be pushing down onto that crank and trying to push the oil out the way. We don't want the oil pushing out the way. So as I say, there's a trick to this. You put the first bolt in, that holds the timing chain where it's supposed to be. Right, you want to get your chain on properly first though, that does help. Right, there we go. Then you can just rotate that up against the chain, put that in there. Audi's torque specs on these are literally 2 pound-feet, and I can't measure 2 pound-feet or 2 newton meters, whatever it was. I should really be inch-pounds. I don't have a torque wrench that goes down to inch-pounds, so we're just going to do them up enough. Happy with that. Remember, just enough, because this is an alloy block. You will strip the heads. You will strip the thread, sorry. Alright, that looks fucking good, to be honest. Lovely. This is all very, very good. Now, can we pull this pin? Yes, we can. Because before we can go any further, we have to put the timing cover on, which means we won't be able to pull the pin out later. So, pop. You can see that immediately tensioned. Good stuff. I like it. Getting somewhere now. There is that timing mark that I was on about. You want it level with that bolt. It makes absolutely no difference either. The first time I built this engine, I got it completely the wrong way, and it didn't even matter. The car still ran perfectly. So yeah, I don't know why it says to do that, but it says to do that. Just double check that this fits with the oil pump on. I know it will, but it's good practice. Don't want to squeeze all that sealant on it and then it doesn't fit. But no rocking, absolutely marvellous. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I don't know why, but I always find this therapeutic when I watch other people's channels and they're putting sealant on. It's totally weird because I actually hate doing it in real life. So, a few important things to note on this is don't forget that one and this one. So that's an oil return to the sump, and this one will stop that bolt leaking. I forgot that one last time I'd done it, and I had a leaky bolt and I had to 3-bond the bolt up. So, and already I can tell you that's too much. But it is what it is, it's only a freaking bottle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this extremely sparingly, even more so than when the first time I've done it. Because my friend, I'm going to use this sparingly because my good friend Darren Blackburn, if you ever look him up on social media, he's won GM Race Wars, I think about 3 times in a row now. He's got a 1700 horsepower GTR, and his turbo seized when he was shooting for Car Wow, both of them, and it was silicon sealant had plugged up the oil feed to his turbos, and that was just after a fresh rebuild by a well-known tuning garage. Although you've got to use it sparingly, you have got to make sure that this little passage is filled up. So don't use it too sparingly. Like there, I haven't filled the passage up. So I have to go over this bit again. I think that looks good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I got that one. Don't think there's anything else that needs sealanting now. And now for the moment of truth. Have I sealanted the right side? I hope so. There's a lot of sealant on this engine. Remember the old days of the Fords, we used to change a gasket on your Ford CVH and the rubber gasket would be falling off onto your head when you were upside down under the car. Those were the days. Okay, so put a bolt in there just to locate it. Otherwise it will go running off. On a bed of sealant and come crashing off the other side. So, from memory of these 11 mil, 10 mil, can't remember. We're about to find out. 10 mil. Yes, good guess. Why won't that go in? Yeah, it will. Takes a bit of turning. Top tip on these is never fully tighten them all down, because you'll find that you'll get over to this side and it'll be on the cock and your other bolts won't fit. However, there are 4 major bolts that go through the centre. These actually bolt onto the mains, which is why this is called a strengthening girdle. So the mains and these will become one, and that will then use the power of the bolts and the billet to keep everything stable. And torque spec on these from ARP is 15 Newton meters. Sorry, 20 Newton meters. Got that wrong last time. And these bolts alone cost me £200. So And that's what I mean by don't tighten all your bolts in. You see that one didn't fit. Until I give it a little adjustment. Won't make that one too tight either. God damn. Oil allergy. All my favourite things I'm allergic to: beer, wine, eggs, oil. So I have to just drink distilled alcohol now. Okay, let's put the others in. So these two big bolts go here. And remember I was saying when we siliconed up the other side of this, one of these, I had the circle, and I said don't forget the circle. One of these, can't remember which one, is that circle. If you don't silicon that up properly, it will leak oil under here from the sump, and then you'll have a bastard. Remember again, hand tight till we get them all in. Newton meters. 20 Newton meters. Use the light for that. Yeah, we're at there. Yeah, we are 20 Newton meters. Marvellous. Bloody marvellous. Good stuff. Right, here we go into more 3 bonding time. So this is a billet main seal I got from JDY. It's it's reusable. The benefits, the Audi one isn't, and it's peels off when you pull this off. This one is less flimsy. It's a nice bit of kit. Looks like the pulley's been rubbing there a bit. Have to keep an eye on that. But it's very, very easy to change if anything goes wrong. So let's get 3 bonding. Let's get 3 bonding. That's better. The smell of this reminds me of making those model aeroplanes when I was a kid. You know, the plastic ones. I used to cut them out and then super glue them together, and that's what it reminds me of. Airfix. Is it Airfix? Yeah, I think it was Airfix. So I've just put some brake cleaner on, and I was just giving that away bother. So let's fit the billet main seal now. Before I do that, give a little start up grease. That'll just help the front seal to go over it properly. See how stringy that shit is, it's amazing. I always get stuck as to which way this fucker goes up. I think it goes at the top there with those 3 holes. Yeah, it does. Okay, that's what you want. You want that just to fit over there. You don't want the seal to nip on anything. And that's fit over great there. Right, let's put the bolts in. These are the little titanium bolts I was on about. I think I might have lost some of these as well. Bolts. If I have all of these, I'll be absolutely amazed. Ah, come on, man, 2 missing. Eagle eyes, panic over, found them. Torque spec on these from JDY, 15 Newton meters. Here's the postman with my oil cooler. Give me the knock at the door. Fucking marvellous. Hello, mate. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bloody marvellous. Oh, I'm starting to get hungry now. What would today be without having to do some more 3 bonding? So this is the timing cover. We're going to put that on now, and hopefully that's the last of our 3 bonding. I missed a bit there.
Just thought I'd jump in at this point and pick up on something I missed out during the video. See the white arrows at the top right hand of the screen? They're pointing to a little green O-ring. Now, when you're rebuilding this and you've done a couple of 1,000 miles, you must change that little green O-ring. It's essential you change that. However, I didn't do it in this video because it's basically only 200 miles old, so that's going to be okay. I didn't need to change that, so I'm just going to leave that as. But I just wanted to point it out there, just in the top right hand corner where the white arrows are. You must change that little green O-ring.
Okay, 3 bond away. Well, that's shit. Do it back over. gonna lie, this is probably gonna come squeezing out the edges again like it usually does. Now if I get it wrong, you know, it's only just an engine out job again, so no pressure. Okay, lovely. Happy with that. What I do is put this timing chain on because it's almost impossible to put it on when the timing cover's on. And I have put a new front main seal on here as well. Now there is a trick to this surprisingly as well. You've got to put the crank position centre under here first, and then what I'll do, I'll put a bit of engine lube on the front crank, because this rear crank seal is a bit of a bar steward. Audi actually gives you a special tool to put it on with, but I just found it to be extra specially annoying. It didn't do anything for me. Actually do that now. See, Audi gives you a special tool, but all you need is just a round edge teaspoon. Now Audi gives you these shitty silver bolts to put this back in with, so whenever I do this I make sure I just buy some more, because the amount of times I've had to remove a bolt that's snapped in there. And these bolts only go where there are indels for them, because some of these holes actually go through the timing chain cover into the block because they're for the gearbox. So torque spec on these 5 Newton meters, I believe. Does my torque wrench go that low? Yes, just about. Well, that's not a lot of torque at all, is it? But with 3 bond, it doesn't need it. Because even if one of those bolts comes out, that ain't leaking. That stuff is good. Run out of new bolts as well, so I have to use 1 or 2 of the older ones. That one's torqued. Of course, so careful with these because they break so easy. There we go, that's torqued. That's torqued. It's torqued. The fuck are the lead bolts? It's torqued. 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 Marvellous. And that is the end of, is it part 5 or up to now? Part 5, yeah. It's come to my attention that I've binned my oil pickup tube, so I'm going to have to order one of those. But I can still carry on with the engine, just because I don't have an oil pickup tube. It's not going to hamper the building anyway. I can still get it in and inside the car, and then I can put the oil pickup tube on last and put the sump on last, so it's not the end of the world. That's the timing cover on, timing chains, the main timing chain that's going to go around the cams. That is on. The front seal, billet oil seal's on. The main strengthening girdle is on and all top down. Next to go on is literally the head. And that's it, the engine is done. So I'm going to get something to eat and have a rest, chill out, and probably revisit this tomorrow or the day after. But part 6 probably going to be the last part of the build, and it's going to be getting it fitted. So tune in for the next one.